Okay, my new coolant lines came in. The smaller ones here, the 3/8, and so I'm getting these last couple of bleeder lines installed. So I got the first one, the EGR cooler. The second one does feed something. I'm not quite sure what that fitting goes to, or where it feeds into, but it's right here behind the air conditioning compressor. So I had to pull the belt off and pull that whole air conditioning compressor off. Giant pain just to get at that clamp and get that hose off there, but I guess jobs that are a pain to do in the shop are still easier to do than jobs that are a pain on the side of the road. So I'm gonna get this last line on here and get this all buttoned back up, refill the radiator, and we're gonna go for a test drive. Alrighty, I got everything buttoned back up. All the different cables are zip tied to each other and secured down. I got loom in the various places where there could be rub points. The air conditioner is reconnected and the belt on it reattached, and so I'm ready to refill this bus with antifreeze. So this is just a funnel kit I got off Amazon. I got it because it's got a nice wide mouth and it's got a whole lot of different adapters on it for, you know, different angles and lengths for getting into weird spots, but it does have this handy little top that screws right into my radiator reservoir, which makes this super easy to fill without spilling coolant everywhere. So we're gonna go down below and make sure that the drain at the bottom of the radiator is closed and then start filling her up. All right, I've got about 2/3 of the antifreeze in here, so I'm just doing a quick look over, make sure that everywhere I ran a new line, I don't see any leaks so far. All looks good. No drips coming from under the bus. Connections over here all look good. This is a little wet because I did slosh when I was filling the funnel, but so far all looks good. We're gonna add the rest of it, get it up to the full line, and then fire it up. Okay, it's full to the max line. I do still have some coolant left in the bucket. There's probably some air pockets throughout the system yet, and also I have the valves going to the heaters inside closed. I'm gonna leave those closed for now because I am going to be redoing those heaters inside at some point, and it'd be easier if they're not full of antifreeze. So we'll just leave that closed for now, and everything looks good here. We're gonna get the computer out, hook up the diagnostics to it, and start the engine. Go ahead and take this off. And let's head inside. First thing we're gonna do though is pick up all of the tools, because as this engine vibrates, we don't want this stuff flying around. We're gonna do kind of a once over, look around in all the various nooks and crannies where I like to stash tools while I'm working. I'm not the most organized mechanic because I'm not a mechanic at all, but make sure we don't have anything loose, but I don't see anything. Looks good. Let's get the computer out. All right, we're up in the bus. I've got my NextIQ device plugged in. This just has a little 9-pin, probably can't see up there, round port that plugs in. All international buses are going to have that somewhere. Most conventionals, it's on the right side of the driver's area. Sometimes the FE and rear and RE rear engine. Flat noses have it on the left side, and then rear engines also have one in the back in the engine compartment. But we just plug that in, plugs into my laptop. I've got this Service Max software running. This is free for international on any bus that's not a Max Force older than 2008. So we're gonna turn the key on, and I don't know how well you're gonna be able to read this, but we will tell it to connect. There we go, engine found. So this gives you a little bit of information in the upper left there about the engine itself, miles, hours, serial numbers, all that. And down here it gives us all of our codes. So I've got 2 codes here for an EGR valve signal, and looks like an air inlet temperature. These are old codes, probably left over from when that EGR valve initially failed. So I'm going to first take a screenshot of this screenshot, and now I'm going to clear these codes. Oh, it's saying they're active. That's interesting. So it won't let me clear them. And we're gonna go and try to crank over the engine. Okay, shut the engine down. I did let that run for about 15 minutes. Got it up to temperature up to 188. So the fan kicked on, everything was circulating. Still no leaks anywhere. Very little coolant has moved out of the reservoir. So we've gotten the air bubbles out and it's not leaking anywhere. I checked everything up there. I did fix the air intake temp alarm. That was the, I don't know if you can see it through my dirty windshield here, but that sensor that plugs into the air filter, I'd forgotten to plug that back in when I put the air filter back on. For the EGR valve, turns out if you watch my earlier videos, I got that part used. Apparently it's a bad part. So the one that I have, or my original one, the valve is stuck open, which was causing my issues with this engine sputtering and dying and just choking itself out. But the valve itself, the electronics were still good. So I've got that plugged back in, and you can see the code has now gone inactive. But when I plug in that replacement part, I get an active code for the EGR valve signal out of range. So that tells me the electronics in the new valve I bought are bad. And that's the risk you run when you buy used parts. So that thing will be going back, and we'll have to get another one on here. The bus will run for the time being. Just the emissions controls are not working correctly. And I'll have a check engine light until I get that fixed. But everything looks good here for the test inside the shop. I'm going to go close up the hood, and we're going to go for a test drive. Okay, real quick before we go, it's a little loud in here because I got the engine running. I did put the dog nose cover back on, just kind of loosened it, I didn't bolt it down. But I've got this thing set to look at my ICP and injection control pressures. I was seeing some weird behavior with this bus while it was still in Arizona. So I wanted to see if that is resolved now as we go for a test drive. But hood's all buttoned up, everything's closed. And we're gonna start by just kind of driving around the industrial area where my shop is a little bit. That way if I have problems, I'm only a block or two from home. And if that goes well, then we'll take it out on the highway and get her up to speed. So I'm going to see if I can rig that phone mount so you can see out as we go. And we'll enjoy the ride. the camera quit a couple miles back. My phone gets hot and overheats and shuts off, which is fun, especially when the video's going. But I pulled over to the side of the road here. I'm about to get on the interstate. I just wanted to look things over. Bus is running good. The sputtering issue that I was having before seems to be gone. It hasn't done it yet, and the graphs for all my injection control are all right on the money where they should be, so that all looks good. The 6-speed transmission is working great. It's a little rough downshifting, but if I remember right, it does have to like relearn some things. I'll do some reading on that, but I think that's okay. Doing 55 mile an hour at 1700 RPMs. I did kick it up to 65 for a short little stretch there, and that rode about 1900 RPM, so that is fantastic for fuel economy. Engine temperature sitting steady at 190, which is good. I just checked up there. The reservoir is down to the add line, but I don't see any signs of leaking under there. So like I said, I think it's just pushing through the system. So when we get it back to the shop, we'll top it off again and go from there. But I'm going to go ahead and turn on the interstate here, and we'll get it up to interstate speeds and see how she does. Camera may cut out again, but this will be on a time lapse anyway. So we'll catch back with you in a minute. right, back to the shop. That was a successful run. I'll go ahead and close out this video, and catch you next time. Thanks for watching.